Today, we sued Gavin Newsom over his corrupt and illegal redistricting scheme to give politicians back the power to manipulate the lines of their own election districts. We'll tell you all about the lawsuit, what's going to happen next. We also have more details on just how corrupt the redistricting plan is, who's benefiting, and how we can stop them at the ballot box, a role that you can play in this important fight. All that and more coming up. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California and a California state legislator, and we have been knee-deep in the fight against corruption and, well, let's just call it what it is, election rigging through Gavin Newsom's redistricting scheme to gerrymander California's election districts before the 2026 midterm elections. Let me go through a number of things. Today, we did file an emergency lawsuit against Gavin Newsom and California Democrat legislators for their violations of the state constitution. But again, their attitude is might makes right. Their corrupt approach to this just shows what intoxication they have with power, super majority power. They've never been confronted before with real opposition. Well, that has changed. And at Reform California, we said from day one, when we started this whole entire concept of going inside the belly of the beast, that we would fight from inside the tent by winning legislative seats, from inside the tent to force Republicans to be more aggressive in fighting back. And that's exactly what we're delivering on. That's why today my colleagues filed this lawsuit with the California Supreme Court. Now, we're not putting all of our eggs in one basket. We are going to talk about the legal maneuver that we pulled today, but we're also gearing up the campaign to stop Gavin Newsom at the ballot box, because I will tell you right now, that's where I think we're headed. And I don't fear a fight at the ballot box. Frankly, this is not a fight that we chose. This is all Gavin Newsom's doing. He's wasting $250 million of scarce taxpayer funds in the middle of a budget crisis when he's cutting services and threatening to raise taxes. He says, I don't have any money. Well, you have $250 million to waste on an unnecessary election to try to cram through your corrupt redistricting scheme. I don't want this fight, but it's a fight we're going to have to engage in. And so we need everybody out off the couch and into the fight. We need you into the streets to get other voters educated on just how dishonest this election is going to be. So I'm going to get to that in just a minute. I do want to invite you, though, to join the fight. Go to the website, reformcalifornia.org, and there you're going to get comprehensive coverage of all of the redistricting details and how corrupt Newsom's plan is and why it's not fair. It ends fair elections in California. So share those stories with all your friends. But more importantly, let's take a look down here. If you're not already signed up, this is how you get tethered, connected to our growing statewide movement to take back California from the insanity and corruption of the far left. Go to the bottom of the website at reformcalifornia.org and put in your first name, last name, email, phone, and zip code, and you will be tethered in to our growing movement. You'll receive updates. You'll know what's happening in your neck of the woods when we're there for campaign rallies, who we're endorsing for various offices, our plain English voter guide that tells you what's actually happening on the ballot, particularly with ballot measures that are always deceptively described by the politicians with false and misleading titles. All of that you get for free. You just have to sign up at the bottom of that website. Again, it is free. First name, last name, email, phone, and zip code. Plus, please, while you're there, chip in a contribution. We were not planning to go into battle in 2025, but the ballots for this special election on redistricting are going to mail out on October 1st. That's a matter of a few weeks from now. And we have to raise as much money as quickly as possible to get the word out. So please, as we mount this campaign, be part of the fight. Don't let Newsom win. Don't let corruption prevail. we can stop this. The polling shows we can stop it, but it requires that you participate. So I'm going to get to the lawsuit in just a moment, but let me start out first with the three measures that they are trying to cram through this week. Yesterday we got back into the legislative session after being off a month. So you were safe from their insanity for 1 month and 1 month alone. They introduced three bills: SB 280, AB 604, and ACA 8. Well, actually, these were not actually introduced bills. They're already existing bills, but what they're doing is a corrupt practice called gut and amend. That's where they basically take a shell bill and they just amend it to a totally different topic. And they're doing it to say, we're complying with open legislative process. You know, these bills have been in print for months, for weeks. The public had a chance to look at them. Wait. The public had a chance to look at the old bill, but now you came and created a totally new bill with it, and the clock should start over. But no. Might makes right. They don't want transparency. They don't want public input. They don't care about what you have to say. They're just cramming it through. So SB 280 has to change our elections, because right now it would not be legal to hold a special election on the very condensed timeline that Newsom and the Democrats want. So they need to pass SB 280 to basically rig the law so they can do what they want to do. And again, might makes right. The supermajority has the votes to do this. And so what they're doing right now is allowing for the special election to be called on a timeline that is not legal under California state law currently. And they literally have to break the law, amend the law to allow themselves to break the law in order to proceed forward with a rapid fire, short timeline special election. Next, AB 604 contains the maps, the redistricting maps. And so they're basically going to say, here are the maps. AB 604, again, is not legal because the state constitution prohibits the legislature from drawing maps. And what they're claiming is, well, the voters are going to legalize our corruption, our violation of the law. We're going to get it legalized at the ballot box. Well, that's quite a bet they're making. They're saying we're going to break the law, but it's going to be okay because the voters are going to vote for the manipulative package that we're putting forward. Well, what if they don't? You broke the law. And even after the fact, you're still breaking the law. You can't retroactively say, oh, no, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have the power to draw maps. You don't have the power to pass maps right now. You don't have the power to call a special election. Again, that's getting into the lawsuits that we're filing. Then ACA 8 is actually an amendment to the state constitution to gut the Citizens Redistricting Commission. This is what they've always wanted. Back in 2010, when the citizens passed a Citizens Redistricting Commission so that the politicians couldn't manipulate the lines of their own districts, the citizens said, we want it to be nonpartisan. We want it to be geographically compact districts with communities of interest, like-minded communities together, natural districts. No, the politicians opposed it in 2010, and they've been lying in wait, with emphasis on lying in wait for just the ruse, the excuse to seize back power from the Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission for themselves. That ruse comes in the form of Texas and Trump. Democrats know that voters don't like Trump in California, so they're trying to capitalize on that hate for what they want. They want the power back from the redistricting commission. They don't want the citizens to draw the lines. They also are using Texas as the pretense to do it. By the way, their initiative says that any ACA 8 says any state that makes a modification of districts would automatically give the power back to them in California. And, mid-cycle, there are very common adjustments of redistricting lines based upon federally required compliance with Voting Rights Act, Civil Rights Act provisions. It's sometimes ordered by the Supreme Court that a state has to adjust some lines. And what they're basically saying is, knowing that, they get to do anything they want. And in fact, Illinois could actually adjust lines just to trigger the power switching back in California and the approval of the gerrymandered maps. So all of this is being rushed through this week. The Redistricting Commission had over 300 meetings on their maps, took tens of thousands of very considered and lengthy public testimony from various groups up and down the state. The Democrats in Sacramento are holding one single hearing, one compared to 300 separate statewide meetings. And they say, oh, well, we have a website that people can comment on. Nobody knows about that website versus the hearings that went over 18 months that the Citizens Redistricting Commission conducted. Now, Cal Matters, which is a liberal-leaning blog, does have a pretty cool website feature that I want to call your attention to. Are you in one of the maps, the districts that has been gerrymandered? Well, all but 9 districts, I believe, have been gerrymandered, rigged by the politicians versus the commission maps. So you take a look at that website, calmatters.org, and you can look up whether your district has been modified. This is for District 3 in Sacramento. The orange line is the proposed district. The purple shape is the existing district. This is, no, it's not District 3. This is District, District, I don't know what that district is. I think that might be actually 3, but no, that's not 3. That's a new Sacramento district. Anyway, the shapes are totally changed. So here's District 3, zooming in on this. The old district is purple. The new district is this dotted line here, the orange. So go to that website and it will probably show that you're in a district that has been greatly modified, that has nothing to do with communities of interest and everything to do with what the politicians want. Here is also Dan Walters. He is a left-leaning columnist at Cal Matters. He asks, how will California's congressional gerrymander attempt play out in the long term? And he's been pretty fair in his coverage. He basically says that it's a loophole big enough to drive a semi-truck through. This is in reference to what I said earlier, which is the language of ACA 8 says if any line gets changed in America by any other state, the politicians in California automatically get all this power back. And they know damn well that the lines do shift mid-cycle based upon federal court rulings. Illinois, which is completely blue, can easily change one little street on one of their maps, and boom, California gets their map approved. So all of this stuff is a scam. All of it's illegal. It violates the state constitution. And so today, we filed the lawsuit. Here's the lawsuit in the Supreme Court of the state of California against the legislative action that's going on right now. And we basically are saying that they violated the rules of the state of California, including the state constitution, by introducing these bills and trying to cram them through so quickly. So the main element that we're getting to is the state constitution, California State Constitution, Article 9, Section 8A states, at regular sessions, no bill other than the budget bill may be heard or acted on by committee or either house until the 31st day after the bill is introduced, unless the house dispenses with this requirement by a roll call vote entered into the journal, 3/4 of the membership concurring. So the requirement is if you're going to pass a bill that hasn't been in print for 30 days, if you're going to rush through the process, you need 3/4 vote. The voters of California put this provision in the state constitution because they wanted maximum transparency, but they wanted, the ability in real emergencies for the legislature to cram things through. This is not an emergency. And if there is an emergency, they should be able to get their 3/4 vote, which would be 60 votes of the state assembly. Well, yesterday I stood and objected. First, my colleague on SB 280, Assemblymember James Gallagher, raised a point of order and said that Assembly Rule 92 precludes the proposed amendment on the grounds of germaneness, that these amendments are not germane. Then I stood and said, SB 280 as amended would in effect be new legislation that the Assembly could not hear or act upon until the 31 days after its introduction, per that section of the state constitution that I just quoted. So we basically made these motions on the floor, and they were rejected by less than the 3/4 vote, okay, to basically box in the Democrats. They have now committed a violation of the state constitution, a prima facie violation, on the basis of they have a new bill that they are considering in less than the 30-day period. More importantly, they, as I explained in our podcast last week, there are additional challenges legally that we can make and will make to this corrupt deal, of violations of state and federal law, as well as violations of the state constitution. They're not allowed to call a mid-cycle redistricting election. Article 21 of the state constitution already bans that. They're not allowed to even act on maps. Article 21 of the state constitution bans that as well. The governor and the legislature are not allowed to be involved in map making. And yet here they are, as I showed you earlier, with a bill that has maps. And of course, you can go to Cal Matters to see the gerrymander handiwork that they're trying to foist on us. A final point is, assuming all these lawsuits are not successful, because remember, we're up against liberal judges in the California Supreme Court, we still reserve the right to continue litigation after the election if it doesn't go our way, as well as go to federal court. But I want to beat Newsom at the ballot box. There's two reasons why. Number one, we've got to beat this illegal seize of power by politicians from the Independent Redistricting Commission. But number two, wouldn't it be glorious to end Gavin Newsom's presidential campaign in November of 2025? It would be so wonderful. We don't have to be annoyed by his nonsense for the next, 3 years. This guy's corrupt. He's incompetent. He's unfit for office. He's been an abject failure here in California. But if he gets absolutely slammed down by California voters in a blue state on something that should be a layup for him, and he does so with a misleading ballot title, more on that in a moment, his political career is over. Democrats are going to see him for the weakling that he is, the beta that he really is. So I'm going to take great delight, and I'm sure you will as well, not only in defeating this redistricting scheme at the ballot box on November 4th, but ending Gavin Newsom's political career with one fell swoop. So here's the campaign. We are gearing up. We've already been gearing up at Reform California for the voter ID initiative drive, the signature drive to get 1 million signatures. And that launches on October 1st. Well, guess what? What also launches on October 1st? The redistricting campaign that we are going to be engaged in, because November 4th is the election. Ballots arrive October 4, 5, 6, 7, 30 days prior. So we already have all these events geared up. For example, Palm Desert, October 12th. Yorba Linda, October 12th. Go to the website, reformcalifornia.org, and click under events and sign up for one of the rallies nearest you. I mean, we're going all around the state of California: Oceanside, Murrieta, San Bernardino, Santa Clarita, Bakersfield, Fresno, Monterey, Atascadero, San Jose. We're all over the state. And by the way, remember at the bottom of this site, this page, there's more events. So click forward, because we're up and down the state of California in the month of October doing rallies, collecting signatures on the California Voter ID Initiative. And that's the same campaign platform, that bus tour, statewide tour, that we're going to be distributing all sorts of information and getting people aware of what's on their ballot. Now, final point. This campaign, we will be able to win if voters know what they're voting on. 80% of California voters support the Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission. Even when you insert the specter of send a message to Trump by voting for this redistricting scheme, it's still a 65% issue for us, of voters that say, no, even if I don't like Trump, I'm not going to get rid of the Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission in California and give the power back to the politicians. The problem is that right now it's a 50-50 issue, because Gavin Newsom and California Democrat politicians, the ones that say they're protecting democracy, literally are lying to voters on the ballot with a deceptive ballot title. We've seen it. They've poll tested it. They've wordsmithed it with various focus groups, and it's very deceptive. They say on their ballot title that eliminates the Redistricting Commission, and gives the power back to the politicians. The title says, should we retain the Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission? That's what the title is. These people are literally trying to confuse voters. Yes means no, no means yes. They are liars and cheats. And it just shows how corrupt they are and why you should vote no just because they've lied to you on the ballot. And I think once we explain that to voters and they realize that they're being lied to, they're going to be angry and they're going to cast a no vote because they want to punish the politicians for trying to steal an election. But we need to get everyone engaged. So that's the update on the redistricting fight. A lawsuit filed today. We're going to be fighting these votes all the way till Thursday. I do believe that Newsom and the Democrats are still going to proceed forward with an election. I don't have faith in the court system, although I hope they prove me wrong. By filing the lawsuit, we preserve our rights to litigate after the election if necessary. But I'm hoping that's not going to be necessary because we're going to beat the crap out of Governor Newsom's pathetic seizing of power attempt at the November 4th ballot box. We need your help. Go to the website, reformcalifornia.org, reformcalifornia.org. Sign up, chip in a contribution today. Let's fight back. Let's take back control of our destiny in our state. Let's make sure these politicians never get the power back to manipulate lines. Protect fair elections. Until next time, Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. But before you click away, please subscribe to this channel and click that notification button so you get updated when we post new episodes. Plus, like this video and share it with your friends so that we can help spread our message across the state. Reform California with Carl DeMaio is paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly.